Hello, Reese here from the Point Music Podcast thingy. Here in my stupid fucking red blemish on my nose, so please ignore that. You won't see this if you listen to audio. Yay! Really cool one here. I actually got to catch up with Luke from Caravana Sun. I haven't seen Luke in, I think Woodford was the last time I saw the Caravana Sun play. They're on their way back up to the Sunshine Coast playing Solbar on February 27th. This is going to date the podcast, but I don't care. Do catch up because they do have a new album coming towards the end of the year, but they have just released two singles last year in COVID time. And they have another one they'll be releasing around the time of the Solbar show. So anyway, cool mad chats with Luke, and we talk about things with Caravana Sun and touring over Europe and whatnot. Hope you enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen and people of all sorts. Luke from Caravana Sun. And we're going. Hello, Luke, old friend.
Wait. Hey man, how are you?
Good. It's been a long time. I actually can't remember the last time I actually saw you guys play. Everyone, Luke from Caravana Sun, by the way. Yep.
Hey. Yeah, it's been. I think I've definitely seen you over the last couple of years.
I have a feeling it's Woodford.
I was thinking it was probably Woodford. Because you guys were playing. Yeah, I do remember seeing you guys play. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I think I saw you at Big Sound as well. There's been a few times I've seen you. It's always like this as musicians. You see so many different people.
Cross passing and all sorts of
But
stuff.
you don't you always got to do something else because you're either doing a show or something. You're on the road, so it's hard to actually have proper conversations. Often.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this conversation with Roland West. He's Roland, don't you, mutual friend.
Yeah.
Even with Gadeen, Gadeen,
Yeah.
Bretto lives literally 3 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And the only time I really get to see him is usually at a gig or something like that in passing.
Yeah.
So it is nice when we eventually just catch up and get to have a chat.
Yeah.
The reason why we got you on because you guys are finally coming back up here. It's been a while, and you're playing Solbar on the 27th of Feb. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 27th of Feb. Yeah, it's crazy. The last time we were there was we brought our friends from Germany, La Brass Banda.
I was at that one.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yep.
But that was massive storm before the gig. It was crazy, but that was actually nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. But you got to remember, 2020 is just a blip. Most people don't remember.
That's the thing that I've been keep saying because everyone's like, it's been so long, you haven't done it, this, that, and the other. And I said, you can't include 2020 because it was just such a shit year.
Yeah.
You can't actually, it just doesn't exist.
Quite often, I just go, oh yeah, it happened last year. And I'm just going, hang on, no, it didn't. This thing happened 2 years ago because nothing really happened last year.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But in that time, Caravana Sun actually released two singles.
Yeah. That was cool. I mean, we were quite fortunate in many respects because we came back from our 2019 European tour and we pretty much were in conversation with a label over there. So we kind of, as soon as we got back, we went just head first into writing and we recorded stuff at the end of 2019 and we were we already started an album. So we're kind of quite lucky because we actually released the song just as COVID started, but we were ready in the new cycle.
Yeah.
So it was I feel like it would have been a lot harder for artists that hadn't started the next album because it was just some people really like COVID, but I found it quite a depressing, hard time. And that was one saving grace that we actually had started it. So we could it kept us sort of occupied. And, we actually went into the studio 3 times throughout COVID, up in the Blue Mountains, for 5 days at a time and massive hours and just smashed it out. And then we're recording all individually in our home studios and then tracking all together. So it's been I was actually having this conversation with Ant today. It's COVID was a really hard time, but for our development as producers, because we're all sort of doing that, it was really good to get better at our skills and and to use them on our own record. Often you sort of work with other producers, but this album we produced ourselves and it was engineered by Ian Pritchard, who's done All the Beautiful Girls and that's Busika, Kim Churchill. So yeah, it's cool.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up because myself included, I know a lot of musicians had taught themselves how to produce and mix during this whole period.
Yeah.
I mean, people
Yeah.
people probably getting who listen to this podcast probably getting sick of me talking about it, but it legit it caused us because we couldn't do anything, and I was in the middle
Yeah.
of recording an album for one of my projects,
Yeah.
and I decided to take that time up and buy a little bit of gear and
Yeah.
learn to mix myself and produce myself.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It's fun. You learn new things and you
Yeah.
appreciate and hear different things now.
Yeah. I think like it when it comes down to it, like with like COVID is like a good thing, but it's like, you know, you sort of question, why do you do things? Like, why do you actually do anything? Like, and you kind of go, man or woman, like, you know, not gender specific, but we need purpose. And it's like, may that be performing live, may that be touring, may that be communication, may that be in a family, looking after a family, whatever you do. And so as musicians, because we couldn't play live, we had to find fulfillment and meaning in something else. Therefore, most people did, you know, they were writing or they were producing or they were doing something that was not performing live, but it was still musical. So it's like, I think it will be a fruitful time with creativity, and I think a lot of people are going to put out some great music over the next few years. That will be really exciting, I think.
I did think of you guys actually when we all went into lockdown, and then I did see, I think it was around the time you released something, and I went, oh fuck, because you guys used to do this one off season, on season, off season to Europe and back here, and Europe and back here, and you're one of the busiest bands I know that was doing that. And I did think of how much of an effect that would actually have on you guys, because you can't go over there.
It was actually like, I just couldn't even actually believe it, because it was like, you know, we've gone over there 8 times, and then 2020 was meant to be like this big year. Like we signed a deal in Germany, and we're doing all these like, you know, conferences. We're going to do, what's that one in Germany? Can't remember the name of it. It's in September, and it's like the what's it called? It's like, anyway, it's like this big music conference they have there, and like we're going to Berlin, playing on all these big radio stations. It was just like, it all was lined up kind of thing.
Oh wow. And
then it's like, COVID came, and it's just like, I can't actually believe this, you know, like after all these years. But in saying that, like, we're not too worried. Like, we're going to go back eventually. Obviously it won't be this year, but I think next year we'll go. Pretty much all the shows we had booked, like bar maybe 1 or 2, I just literally, like, they moved from 2020 to 2021, and now they're all going
to 2022.
Yeah. But it's like, we haven't actually lost any shows. So the way that I sort of cope with it is I just go, well, the Europe that we tour doesn't actually exist at the moment. So there's nothing, I'm like, it's not like we're missing out on something. We're actually having a better time here. Like, just so be grateful. I am grateful that we live in Australia, and like, in a way, like, you know, the fact that, like, you know, say in Queensland, people have been playing shows, WA, but even outside of shows, like, people are able to see family and, you know, not really have to worry that much, considering how bad COVID actually is. It's crazy.
Well, wait till you get up here and play some Queensland shows, because then you'll know a real audience.
It's been crazy, because we, like, since March last year, we have only done, like, we've only played one place, which is the Lansdowne, and we did 4 shows there in January, which were all sold out, but it was a smaller capacity, and everyone's sitting, and it's same in October. So we've actually done, that's all we've done. It's been weird.
It's going to be a release for you, bro.
Yeah, and it's just so weird, because like, we've only been in one venue. Like, so we've like played one venue in the last year.
I can't even think of that. Like, I know how weird it was when Barefoot basically came back and played the first show at Solbar when Solbar opened its doors again, and we literally had to play to 80 people sitting down, and it was a bizarre feeling. And I'm so glad you guys don't have to deal with that when you come up here, because you're definitely not a band that is a sit down and listen to band.
No.
And neither is Barefoot, really. It's really weird playing to people sitting down listening to reggae. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it was so strange, but there was some part of me that was just like, I'm just so glad to actually just do something that we love and feel a bit validated, you know, like not for so much the ego, but it was just like, and you put all these hours into like writing and creating and compose, like, you know, putting together a project, and you want to actually perform it. You know, if you're just thinking about it and planning, it's not really, you're not actually demonstrating anything. So it's just nice. But yeah, I'm really looking, I can't actually believe that people will be dancing.
Yeah,
That's so weird to think about.
dude. Did you happen to see the photos I put up with Night Quarter when Barefoot played that a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago?
that looked amazing.
Holy crap! But we went and saw my wife and I went and saw Tijuana Cartel and Double Ray.
Yeah, that would have
The
been
week
amazing.
after it was. I know there was about 550 at Night Quarter for Barefoot and Band of Frequencies. Tijuana and Double Ray had 750, and it was just insane.
That's
But
crazy.
the vibe was good because everyone was just stoked because they could dance and it was
Yeah.
breathable. And even going to see Drop Legs and Cripple Reach at Solbar and people dancing there,
Mm.
it's in a really weird sense of normality at the same time as a pending doom in the back of your head that something is happening all around the world. It's a bizarre feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is weird. I mean, I guess now, like, it just seems like it's going to be patchy maybe for the next 6 months or so, but at least every day's getting closer to sort of some sort of maybe not normal, but just not as restrained as it's been,
Mm.
which is nice. I think like just the fact that people, are not going to be as worried, which would be kind of cool. But at the same time, like I said, it's so hard to like, um, yeah, like kind of justify, like even just like performing and playing music when like I just consider like so many of my friends over in Germany, like the band, the brass band, like they literally haven't been outside for like 3 months. It's just, I just can't even wrap my head around it, like
No.
just how depressing it must actually be over there.
Yeah. I don't want to bring that down.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about COVID.
Yeah. But you guys actually wrapped up album number 3 in last month. And
Yeah. So pretty much. There's probably a little bit more to do, but not that much. We finished all the band beds and stuff. Like there's a few more like layers and stuff like that we're gonna do, but we're pretty close to releasing. Well, actually, we've locked in the next single, which is going to be coming out the 12th of March.
Oh, cool.
And so we'll be playing that at Solbar.
Nice.
And then we've got like the album. I think will probably come around September, October.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just in the moment, just sort of we're just sort of finalising everything, and then we'll get it mixed, mastered, and yeah, you know what it's like. The whole process takes a fair while.
Dude, Barefoot's album's been taking 4 years.
Yeah, they take a long time. I don't think people realize actually how much effort goes into like making a record. It's like
it's ridiculous.
stupid.
But I was doing a little bit of revision like this morning and at the gym just before, listening back to your back catalogue and that and comparing it to the new tracks. And I've always loved the second album is Gorilla Club. Gorilla Club?
Yeah.
Yeah. And particularly like Eye of the Storm. But listening to it and listening to the new tracks, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it feels like you're going back to being slightly more organic in your sound again, like to your first album.
It's interesting. Hey, like I don't know, like I actually think the new album is the closest thing we've done to Gorilla Club, to be honest. Like the next song that we're releasing, we got Andy Lawson, who's from WA, who mixed Gorilla Club, is mixing it.
Cool.
And Brian Lucy, who mastered it. So it actually, like, when I heard it, I'm like, far out, it sounds very, like, it's got a real similar sound. And I think the new album is actually, it's very close to Gorilla Club, but it's probably a bit more high energy than Gorilla Club was, and which is, I guess, more like Aya. But it's not the sort of gypsies. It's not ska or gypsy at all. And there's literally no horns on the album.
Oh, really? Going away from the horn
with
system?
We've just sort of, it was weird because we're going to put him on there, but then, I don't know, well, because Ken, who was in the band, he's like, which is crazy, like so much has happened. Like the last European tour in 2019, he stayed with his partner. I think he lives in the Netherlands, and then he was going to come back the start of 2020 and then tour with us 2020.
Yeah.
But then, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him for a year and a half. So he basically just sort of was forced to step aside or step out of the band. And Chris, who has toured with before and played that bass synth and stuff, so then he's joined the band. So it's been weird. So we don't actually have like set horn player, but we've been using kind of consistent people, but like different people wherever we go. Like
hence why you asked me if I knew any trombone players up here.
Yeah, we've actually it's been actually awesome. Like in some strange way, like because it's like I think the band's become a little bit more rocky, like a bit more
Cool.
not as like not heavy rock, but just like a little bit more like I don't know, more indie, I guess in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of a more indie sound, but it's awesome because like when we go to like WA, we have like our guys over there, and then Queensland we have our guys, and then like New South Wales and everywhere else is another set of guys, and it's really cool because you get to catch up with all these different people all the time, and um, yeah, but there's a lot of piano, synth, and there's a lot of guitar. It's a real guitar album, which is kind of cool, which I've never actually got to do. But we sort of never set any goals or parameters when we made it. It wasn't like, hey, let's make a record that's no horns. Because I was always going, let's put horns, we'll add this, we'll do that. And everyone's like, yeah, it sounds good how it is. So I'm just like, you know what? It's like, it's just cool to just sort of like go with it. And like, in a way, like we've got songs on the album that are like the most heavy, aggressive songs we've ever done. And then we've got like some of the most like mellow and poppy songs. Like it's such a diverse sound. I reckon it's going to be interesting. Like I think I'm really excited to see how it goes. It's going to be cool.
Because in the same period of time, didn't Ant release his solo album or solo EP or something?
Oh, he put out a track with Caspia, his new project.
Yeah.
He's put out 2 songs, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's something he's been working on for a while.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing a different side to Ant compared to. I mean, you do see a little bit of that coming through in say like Whale Song or anything like that. Like when he's
Definitely.
And that's what I felt like when I was listening to his other stuff that was shining through that project there. But interesting, you say there's a lot more piano involved because he was getting really into his piano and that sort of other aspect of it, even though like
even like some of the sessions, like some of the songs, Ant actually plays piano on the records, like on the new album.
Yeah.
And Chris jumps on bass because he's a really good bass player. Or like, it's been like kind of a limitless approach, which has been really cool. Like we haven't really limited in any way. There's songs on the record that I think are similar to Whale Song in some respects. There's songs like that, but then there's songs that are like really, I don't know, like just sort of, I don't know, like Charlie, I guess, is a very poppy song, which is a song we put out last year.
I was actually going to mention that song because my wife was just listening to it before and she got pretty emotional with the lyrics about it. So sorry, Sheree. Sorry, Sheree, for bringing this up. But what was the actual thing behind the inspiration behind Charlie? Like,
well, and sort of that one was a weird one because I remember like we were in Portugal in 2019 on a beach, and I just started playing that guitar riff, and I remember someone turned around and said, "That's good." So like I just recorded it, and then we came back to it when we came back from Europe, and we're working on it, and we jammed it, and that song like came together as a band, and then Ant took it away and like really refined the story, and I think a lot of words are about he was just sort of going through a dark time. It's always a bit of a massive. It's hard to explain to someone, but when you go from European tours playing these big shows and it's all like adrenaline all high, and then you come home, you always get depressed for like a month.
It's the come down. Yeah.
It's such a massive come down. Like you just get back, it's winter. It's sort of like not much is going on. And like, you just sort of like, what the hell am I doing? You know, like, what am I doing with my life? Like it's literally everyone does it. Then we all go through this like 1 month of what am I doing with my life? And I think he kind of was in that phase. And then, So like it was, I really like that song as well. Cause it's sort of, it's not as like it is poppy. It's very poppy, but it's just dark, something about that.
It's dark.
The melody and like the story is not pop, but the actual song itself is poppy. You know.
No, I actually that's why when I listened to it, I was went, oh, that sounds like older Caravana, but with a new modern twist, because it felt like it totally skipped Gorilla Club and went to this sort of phase here because it didn't have any hint of Gorilla Club in it to me anyway. I think the album definitely does. I think it's not so much on Charlie, but I think Afterlife you can kind of hear. But in other songs, I don't even know. Like it's hard to label it, but we were all really excited on it. I'm super excited to see how it actually goes because it's sort of like, it's always like things like, oh, people love the band because there's horns, or people love the band because it's ska, people love the band because they dance. And then you kind of go, well, what the fuck do we like about the band? Like, what do we... And you sort of just like, you just write like what you like. Well, who are you playing for? Are you playing for them or are you playing for yourselves?
Yeah, and in a way, like, if you do shape... Like, I feel like one thing I've learned in our time, because I remember like, so there was a period like where in 2018 we like did work with Steve Schramm and we did this like EP and we had management and all this other stuff, and it was good in a way. Like it was really exciting and it was very focused, but it was also just like, it was like all forcing, like we're just like forcing, we've got to do this, and like this is, it was like, it didn't feel very organic. Like the song was just like, we've got to get an EP and we've got to do this, and like Comeback went quite well, but the whole EP itself was just like a bit of a rush, and it just, with this, it's like it's taken us nearly like, by the time it comes out, it'll probably be like 2 years, but I'm glad like we spent the time on it. I don't regret, but I don't know if there'll be one straight away after it. Like I think there'll be a good gap.
You feel a bit burnt out?
Oh, not burnt out, but it's just like time to like, you know, you do all the writing, you do all that, and then you just want to go on tour for like 2 years or 3 years.
But because of the restrictions, yeah, and you gotta let it sink in for a little bit. So a lot of people wouldn't know. Like you guys, was it pretty much a 6 month on, 6 month off kind of thing that you guys used to do, or was it a little bit sort of?
Oh, we pretty much used to go, the way we pretty much structured it, we'd go to Europe like from June, July, August, like 2 months, like 10 weeks or so. And then we would be like touring like Broome and all different places like that, sort of on the fringes of that. And then we'd be more like East Coast. We sort of did have a bit of a routine. It wasn't like, but it was just like, you just kind of went where it was good, where you needed to be, where you needed, you know, rather than like, but Europe in like our winter, like you just can't beat it because there's nothing really. Winter in Australia is very slow for music. Not really many festivals, like even like club gigs I guess are cool, but people I find don't really go out that much over those 3 months. Well, like, you know, summer, spring, autumn, people are just keen to do stuff all the time.
Yeah, in a party mode and warm weather mode. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been fun. It's weird not going there, but I don't know. It's like some part of it, like I resisted it. I always find I resist change, but once like I actually just embrace it and just go, okay, well that's what it is. Then you just go with it. There's no choice. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had a question in my head and I just went straight out. But I was going to ask you like memorable moments of touring in Europe, because you guys have done it so many damn times, and I know you've teamed up with some pretty amazing artists over there.
Yeah, there's been heaps of stuff. Like I guess it depends. Like there's like different sort of categories. Like I guess like you got like shows that were like maybe big or memorable because they were like special. So many of the shows like we did with the brass band were amazing. Like the first time we met them, we met them backstage at like this festival in Austria, and we were just like playing. Maybe it was 1,000 people this festival, and we played. And I remember one of the guys in the band were like, this was like 2015. He was like, in 2 years' time, we're going to book you to like do a world tour with us. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, it was like one of the most off the cuff things you've ever heard, you know, like just like drinking schnapps with this guy. He added me on Facebook. And then it was like, before we came over to Europe in 2016, was it 16, 17 or whatever it was, I get this message from this guy and he's like, I'd like to book you for 6 beer tent shows. And then we turn up for like the first show. Like we're thinking like it's going to be like Oktoberfest. Turn up to the first show and it's like 800 people in a tent. And we're like, whoa, it's pretty sick. And like mad production. Like they had like a whole semi-trailer of PA, like, you know, which is like every show. Like they were touring around and what sort of PA was it? It was like this, the best PA kind of you can get. Huge production. They had like a crew of 18 people. And I'm like, what the hell? And it's like, and they're like, we're sorry the crowd isn't so big. And I'm like, 800 people, whoa. Next show, 3,000. Next show, 5,000. And it was just like unbelievable how big the crowds were they were playing. And like, we're just playing, and like every show, when we played Guy, we'd like do this like chant. They would like surprise us on stage, and the next minute they would like, the next gig they would be in the crowd playing horns, and they're like, we're playing before them, we're not even the main act, and they're like in the crowd before they even start. And then they did this thing where like we'd play, and they were like, we had 40 minutes, but like we'd always play over, which you never do as a sport. But we asked the tour manager, and they were like, yeah, you can play from 8 to 8:50, but then the brass band have to start at 9. So we would get all the stuff off within 5 minutes and then swap, and we'd use their in-ears, and then they would start.
See, that's a changeover. People, that's a fucking changeover. None of this whole...
I'm not joking. Yeah. Every time we did it, and like we never ever like, well, they were never late, we were never late. It just worked. So like that's why they keep booking us for stuff, because it was never like any problems, and it was just awesome. So that was really good. Like, but I mean, there's heaps of things that like just, I mean, playing through um, Portugal has been a lot of fun. Lots of festivals and just heaps of, heaps of festivals where you literally just don't even go to bed. Like one time we played a festival, it was like 3 hours late. We meant to start at midnight. We started at 3 a.m. And halfway through our set, the sun started rising.
Oh, what?
And like it literally was day when we finished. And before we played, there was running of the bulls in the town.
Oh,
Like,
no.
and and like all the guys, like we were just walking through, and all of a sudden there was these bulls running towards us. Like we're just like, yeah, there's so many things. Like it just kind of gets boring telling it because people like, there's just so many stories, but it's so fun touring overseas. It's just like, I don't know how to explain. It just feels less, except maybe UK. UK is similar to Australia, but it's less like regulated. Like shows just seem to happen a lot easier.
Yeah, well, when I was over there with
Noise,
Kindred, I found that with it was
less noise restrictions,
yeah,
more like
and less
random.
traveling.
Yeah, and like just they put on open air festivals all the time. Like it's like every government like little council has gigs. Like you think about Sunny Coast, and it's like, I guess you guys are so lucky because you have Caloundra.
Woodford,
Like how many?
Caloundra, Big
Yeah,
Pineapple.
like it's so epic up there. Like
Plus
what you
Peregrine.
guys have. Yeah, Fridge, and you've got all these amazing events. Like I think about it compared to like, where I am. Like Cronulla's actually quite good too. Like they put on a lot of things. But if you think about like all the different little areas throughout Australia, like so many of them don't do anything. Like it's sort of, I guess it's a population thing. So
yeah, and you guys also down Sydney and Greater Sydney, and that you had to deal with the lockdown bullshit, like not COVID. I mean the lockout.
Well, they
bullshit.
did you see that?
Yeah,
yesterday?
they've trashed it, and I was like, woo, about time.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's all kind of bullshit that I don't really get it because it's like they've gone lockdown in King's Cross, but then they've just opened, like they moved what was in King's Cross to Newtown and they changed the lockdown. So it's kind of like I don't get, like I think a lot of it was just really around gang related activity. They were just trying to like destabilize what was going on in the Cross. I think that was more what it was around, but it did really hurt live music. It's really, I mean, yeah, it's been hard in Sydney, like for a long time, but there seems to be like, there's definitely a lot of good artists and music in Sydney, like, coming out all the time. So I don't know. I guess it's sometimes a bit of adversity is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I found the last time I was down there, it was difficult to get like a good show. I mean, you have Lazy Bones at Marrickville, which we loved playing.
Lazy Bones is great.
Yeah,
such a good place.
And the Manly Hotel Manly, whatever it is, the massive 2-story, 3-story thingy.
Yeah, the Moonshine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not really doing that much anymore, I don't think.
Well, yeah,
but Lazy Bones is great. Lansdowne's really cool. Oxford Art, like there is a fair few good venues, but they're all then like COVID really, they're struggling. Like it's been a big thing. I think that's partly why the government down here is really like they've really tried to not like shut businesses down anymore. Like they've just sort of tried to push through because I think it got to the point where like if it just kept going, like it would be really damaging.
Yeah,
like I just don't think in Sydney they could actually afford to do another lockdown. Hey, well,
I mean, Brisbane had a mini one, and one of my bands was supposed to have a single launch just before they had that three-day mini lockdown thing, and then basically they brought in masks and that sort of shit, and then it affected Sunshine Coast though too, because if you worked or visited Brisbane in a certain time period, you had to actually you couldn't play any gigs in any of those venues because you were deemed dirty because you were in the COVID area, which is understandable. At the same time, no bullshit. I understand what they're doing, but that's the reason why we can actually still do shit in Queensland, because we do things real quick and then pretty
it's good. I mean, it's good.
You'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You're just like, yay, freedom a bit.
Oh, I just seriously can't wait to actually play. Hey, it's just crazy.
So how many dates are you actually doing on this little tour thing that you got?
Well, we're doing 2 in Queensland. And
you're doing what, Gold Coast or something? Or?
No, just Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. We're playing the Woolly Mammoth on Sunday.
Yep.
And then the following, and then like a few weeks later, we're going to WA, providing we actually can go, which is
Well, they're not in
so,
lockdown anymore.
so yeah, but I don't know if like they've put in restrictions with like New South Wales trying to even get in there. I don't know. I think they've changed it though. But yeah, so that's selling really well. So yeah, we've got a fair bit in the works. It's one of those things that we're just booking stuff, but not too much, and just sort of being really flexible,
Yeah.
having backup.
It's hard to plan for this shit because you don't know when there's going to be like another like 1 or 2 person outbreak, and then all of a sudden the states just go,
Yeah.
lock the borders.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I don't think like the bands I'm in have actually booked any shows in Melbourne because of that, because it's just like next minute.
Yeah, Melbourne seems really risky at the moment, just
Yeah.
with even like with the Australian Open that's on. It's just crazy that's on. I mean, I love tennis. I actually just played tennis before I got into this Sky. And I've been watching it, so I'm really enjoying it. And I'm glad it's on, but I'm also just like, it's crazy it's on. Like, you know, sport's on, but like there's not gigs. Like, what the hell? It's
Mate,
so fucking.
I was playing gigs where during the football season, and they were allowing 20,000, 40,000 people at the Suncorp Stadium, yet they were only allowing like 50 people into the venue where I was playing it, and you had to be seated. And I was just like, this is madness.
With the continuity, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make sense, but we just went, well, at least we're still playing, I guess. But I just couldn't see how that made any practical sense whatsoever. But again, reason why we can do things is because of that. I don't know.
So do you live near Brett? Like you must be living in Nambour.
Yep.
Yeah, I stayed at his place. It's really cool.
Yeah, so
You've been doing like all those like events and stuff, hey? Like
Nambour.
Brett's been doing like
he did the Thrive event on New Year's Eve, man, and he nailed it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't say much about it, but I have a hunch that he's doing another one soon. But
cool.
I can't say anything more about it because
Awesome.
I can't confirm nor deny it's actually going.
That's sick. I'm stoked for him.
But
He's
yeah,
such a good guy.
he is doing very well, man. Actually, the whole community up here is actually doing quite well.
Awesome.
I guess we're very lucky in that regard. Again, you'll see when you're up here in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, you're gonna fucking love it. But I'm actually stoked that you're coming back up here, and I'm looking forward to this new album. I'll wrap things up, man. I'm keen to fucking like. I love the 2 releases you brought out, Afterlife and Charlie. But Charlie, man, I think that's the song for me at the moment. But yeah,
wicked.
Keen to see what this next album brings, because I've always been a fan of Gorilla Club, so I like hearing change.
Thanks heaps, Bruce.
All good, man.
Yeah. Thanks heaps for the interview.
That's all right. You stay on the line. I'll have a quick debrief with you afterwards. But ladies and gentlemen, Luke from Caravana Sun. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. I know this red mark on my nose did. Yep. Big shout out to Luke for jumping in for that one. Very cool. Do check out Caravana Sun. If you've never seen Caravana Sun, you do need just go I'll put the Spotify link in the description of this podcast, and you go have a listen to it. Go check out Gorilla Club, which was their last album they did in 2018 because it's sick, and then go have a listen to the new singles, Afterlife and Charlie. Check them out, enjoy it, take it in, and then come to the Solbar show because it's dance time, baby. Plenty more coming up. My calendar is filling up with these podcasts. It's crazy. So big thank you to those that want to jump in with this because I enjoy doing it. Thank you for supporting local music, Australian music, all sorts of music. You guys are legends. Cheers.